All right, guys, here's a quick intro on where we're at as far as bringing our artwork into Animate for our walk cycle. Um, Basically, what you're going to end up with is something along the lines of this. Now, this is a very crude example here, and definitely don't go by my example. It's purely for showing you the steps. So I have the 8 steps of the walk cycle shown here, starting with contact, low, passing, high point, contact, low, passing, high point on both sides of the body. Hard to tell here with a stick character, but you get the idea. Now, how to set this up to work out properly for us? It is going to go to 40 frames, and so you'll open it up this at 40 frames, and then every keyframe in this case, pose from the walk cycle is going to be placed every 5 frames apart. Okay, this can be adjusted and adapted to later, and even added keyframes or tweens in between these particular key poses. So that would lead to a smoother animation. But for right now, this is all I'm concerned with. So this is what we're going to go for. And you have plenty of time to get this done. Now, to get this the way it is, one suggestion is to work with a reference layer. So you can take your drawings that you've created of your character in their walk cycle and import that into Animate. And you can set those images at 5 frame intervals like you've done here. And so this bottom one is my reference layer. And so I'm going to go through the steps here of how to do that. So I'm going to go to File, and first thing you do is open up a new project. And as we have in the past, we're going to work with full HD, 1920, 1080, 24 frame rate, action script 3.0, and create. And what I want to do here first is create a reference layer. So I'm going to go to Reference, or my layers here, and name it Reference, and open it up for 40 frames. Hit F5. And then as I go along, I'm going to key these different frames with my reference images. Now, in preparation for this, what I've done is taken an image from our template and have divided it up into these different poses, and by cropping and saving images, much like we've done before with our turnaround GIF. So what I'm going to do here is go to Fit and Screen or Window, and I want to do File, Import, Import to Stage, and I'm going to locate my files that I have saved here. And so here is my template file, Contact. And so I'm going to open this up, and here it is. I can resize this and set it as I need to. Now, my next one is going to be on frame, not 5, but on frame 6, because I want them to be 5 frames apart. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to hit F6 to open up a keyframe, but I'm going to delete this image here and go to File, Import, Import Stage, and find my next reference image, which is going to be this low right here. And so here it is. And I'm going to reset it. And what might help is using onion skin right here and stretching it so I can see both layers. And as I look at this, I can kind of adjust. I kind of went back a little bit, and I'm going to adjust this layer to match my first one. And so you can see here, it kind of matches pretty well. I'm looking at the guidelines here too. Then I'm going to go here, F6, delete that image, and then File, Import to Stage, and choose my next image, which is passing. And I'm going to add passing in there. I'm going to resize it. And I can already see, based on the guidelines here, that this is nice and lined up. I'm going to go further down the line. Actually, this one should be on this stage. So what I'm going to do is click and drag it there on that frame. And then my next frame is on 16, F6, delete that, File, Import, Import Stage, and I'm going to go to High Point. High Point is here. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go back a frame so I can see my reference. Since High Point is still selected, I can adjust the size of it to match as closely as I can the other images behind it. So now what I have here is a good 4-part walk cycle. I would continue this all the way down. And then what I would do is create a new layer, and this one would actually be my walk cycle. Label it walk cycle. And I would key it here. I would key it here, 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 21, 26, 31, 36, and leave this last part open so that it cycles through well. And so I'm going to accidentally click one there, so I'm going to remove that. Clear keyframe and clear keyframe. There. So now I have those. These are opened up and ready to be animated on. So I can take an object here and begin to animate on this layer. I'm going to lock this one down, my reference layer, and I'm going to start to animate on top of this. So I'm going to create this character. And of course, you're going to create yours with your own character and do a much better job than I'm doing here. But you get the idea. So now I've got that one framed. Now I have my next reference layer, and so I'm going to do the same thing. Now, because I use some components here that might be useful in my next layer, what I'm going to do is take that, copy it, go to my next key pose, paste it, move it, and continue on my process. Now, this is, as the Mandalorian would say, this is the way. And using the reference image is just a suggestion. So it is up to you if you need that or not. Otherwise, you can definitely hand draw your character over in a new format in Animate. And I would continue this on for all the walk cycles. You know you've done it right when you play it and you put it on loop, and it plays through the whole thing and is nice and smooth. Obviously, I still have some work here to do. So that is where we're at. This is basic setup and how to get started with your walk cycle in Animate.